but I'm going to show you how to add a creative color vignette around your image using TOPAZ Studio 2. We're going to be working with Luminar 4, adding the mystical tool to this image, giving it a nice dreamy, mystical look. I really like to shoot with very shallow depths of field when I'm doing my flower images. You know, like I'll find a part of the flower that's of interest and I'll focus in on that and let everything go out of focus. It makes for some beautiful artistic images of flowers. And I'm going to show you how I made this one today. It's going to be a great one. It's quick, it's easy, but very effective. Without any further ado, let's get started. Here we are in Photoshop. Now I made a blank layer, called it a healing layer. The layer underneath it is a Topaz DENOISE AI layer. I denoised it, and now I'm just getting rid of all the little bugs on my image or little flaws on my flower, because to me, when you're doing flower photography, you can make these flowers look beautiful. You know, it's like just like a woman, you know, they put makeup on and they pretty themselves up because they're beautiful to begin with, but why not, you know, go that little extra way and just pretty yourself up? So that's what we're doing here to our flowers. We're just, we want them to be the star of our show. They're beautiful. And so we just want to like get rid of any blemishes and things like that, put a little bit of makeup on them. But I'm using the healing brush, the spot healing brush. It's quick, it's effective. Make sure you have that sample all layers checked and paint on a blank pixel layer, because when you do that, you're not painting on, you know, you're not doing your healing on your raw pixels, and that's really important. So, and then I'm just stamping the layers together here, and I'm going to call this one Mystical and L4 for Luminar 4. So now we're going to launch Luminar 4, and I'm going to show you how I can really make this image get really, really pretty here by adding the mystical tool to it. Tool filter, I don't know. I like to call them filters, but, you know, Luminar calls it tools. But here we go. Luminar is launching here. It always comes up with the looks. I'm getting rid of the looks because it kind of bugs me. But we're going to go over here to the Creative tab, and I'm just going to click that and find that mystical filter here. And now I'm just going to drag the amount and start to pull it up, but watch how it adds this nice dreamy glow to the image. And I think it looks really pretty, and it's beautiful with flowers. Now, the shadows, if you move it to the left, you'll darken the shadows. If you move it to the right, you'll lighten them up. And I think I just want to lighten my shadows up. Not too much, but a little bit. Then we can go to advanced settings. There's a smoothness adjustment. We can make it a little more smooth if we want to. And I might just do that a little bit smoother. And then you have saturation here. I'm going to increase the saturation. Don't want to go too much, but drag these sliders here and see what kind of results you get. And then just work them till you find it just the way you like it. And then we can add some warmth, or we can cool it down if we go to the left. I might just cool it down just a little bit because it has a lot of yellows, right? And greens, which is already warm. So I'm just going to back off on the warmth a little bit. And I think that's good. Here is the before. Okay. And here's the after. So that dreaminess is nice. The main bloom, though, I don't like it. I'm going to get rid of that, but I could do it here in Luminar, but I'm just going to do it in Photoshop. So I'm clicking apply, and that's going to send us right back into Photoshop. Now, once I get back here into Photoshop, I'm just going to add a layer mask to that mystical layer, and I want to make sure I'm painting with black paint. So I'm going to switch to black paint. And make sure I got the paintbrush tool up, and make sure I have my opacity at 100% and my flow at 100%. And I'm just going to paint off with the black paint, the mystical effect off the center of this flower, which is my main flower, which is in focus here. Now, I realize there's extra saturation on the rest of the image, but we'll fix that at the end here. But for now, I'm just getting that mystical filter off of there. Okay, and the next step will be we want to pull this image all together. Now I'm going to rename this one. Let's see, I'll name it TS2, and we'll call it, I think, Vignette. Yeah, let's call it Vignette. Because what we're going to do is add that green vignette. I love adding colored vignettes to my flower images. It kind of adds like a nice green fog around the edge, or any color that you like. You can get some beautiful results with this vignette filter. It's very effective, and I use it all the time, and I love it. So we're just going to go to add filter and we're going to come down to vignette. All right, and I'm going to click on this color drop down right here. When I do, I get this dialog box comes up. Now, if you're in Mac or Windows, your dialog box may look different. Pull your opacity the whole way off. And you need to do that to get rid of the vignette. Get your sampler tool and pick a color that you want to kind of use. And we can alter and change this later. Now pull your opacity up. I'm going to take it up the whole way here because that's generally the way I like to use this. I'm going to take the transition to the left so you can see the actual vignette. Now we can adjust the size and the roundness here accordingly. So you'll see me adjusting the roundness. And now I'll work with the size, pull it in a little bit. And next I'll work with the transition just so it transitions nicely. And this is where the magic happens now, right? Now I can see my shape, but I can just transition it to where it looks just right. And then I still have this tool here so I can alter the color here, like the lightness of the color. I can change the color in the circle there of the color right here. I can move that to any color I want. So just get it looking the way you like it. And when you're happy, all you have to do is click OK, and that sets everything up. So far, so good. There's the before and after. And I'm really happy with that result. And then you can take this opacity and pull it back if you felt you went a little bit too far. But in this case, I like it. I think it really gives you some beautiful effects. Now we're going to add a filter. I'm going to add a precision detail filter because what I want to do, I just want to bring some detail out on the sharpest area of my image. Right now, I'm in the overall, and I'm going to add a little bit of small detail here. Now, it's going to go over the entire image, and I don't want that. So I'm going to use a layer mask just to mask it on where I want it to go. Now I'm going to work with the overall medium detail. I'm not going to mess with the large detail. Okay. And then what we need to do is apply a layer mask to it. Okay. And then invert the layer mask so it hides it from the rest of the image. Get yourself a brush and change your opacity. You could change it the whole way to white, the whole way to 100%, but I'm going to do it around 80%, somewhere right around in there. And I'm going to shut my edge aware off and readjust my radius size. And now I'm just going to paint it over the flower here. And forgive me because I'm bad, stamen, pistils, whatever. I'm painting it over here. Forgive me. I don't claim to understand the names of the flowers. I just love the beauty of the flowers. I'm just looking for areas that I want to bring out some extra detail. Like in these veins right in here of this flower here, just to make my viewer be drawn to those particular areas of the flower right there. I'm going to make my radius a little bit smaller, and there's this petal right here. I just want to paint a little bit of sharpness right up on that petal on the top there. And I think everything's looking pretty good at this point. So let's, if we're happy, click accept. And this will send us right back into Photoshop. And so, hey, we're almost done. I told you this was going to be a very quick and easy edit. Let's see where we've come from. So we've come from here. Wow. And we went to here so far. So I'm really enjoying this. Now we're going to add a hue saturation adjustment layer. Because remember, I want to bring some color back to my favorite little bloom that I added sharpness to and took that mystical effect away. So I need to add some saturation. So I'm just going to add overall saturation to the entire image. I'm going to come back and go to the layer mask, invert the layer mask to hide that adjustment. And now I'm going to get my paintbrush, and I got to make sure that I'm painting with white paint. I'm using a very soft edged brush here. So let's make sure we have white paint, and my opacity is set to 30%. So I'm just going to, every time I swipe over an area, I'm adding 30% of that saturation to that part of the image. So I can build it up slowly. So now I'm going to add another 30%. And I think I'm going to add it maybe, am I going to add it another time? Yeah, let's add it one more time. Just to make that bloom really pop out and kind of match up with the rest of the image here. Okay, so now we can come here to the saturation and we can give it more saturation, less saturation, whatever we want, but just whatever your eye likes, stop it at that point. So I'm giving it that little extra. Now you can play with the hue as well and alter the hue if you wanted to, but I'm happy with the hue. So I'm going to put it back to 0. And we are almost done, but I tell you, these you got to pay attention to the details when you're working on your images, you're crafting images. And now I'm going to get a blank pixel layer because on the edges, the right edges of the borders, I'm not really happy with some of the color there. So what I'm going to do is get a paintbrush and make sure that I'm painting with a very low flow of 5%. And I'm going to sample this color, see on the edge here. And that little color right there, I don't like it. It bugs me. And I'm going to alter some of the color on the edge here just so I clean my edge up over here. I think it's a little messy, and I don't want my viewer looking at this edge. I want my viewer looking at my beautiful flower, my beautiful pretty flower on the left center of the image. And that little light spot here, I'm going to get rid of it. So I'm just going to paint this away. And you've seen me in the past if you watch my videos doing this. It's a very effective and easy way of just fixing things. Let's do one last before and after. So here's the before. So we've come from here and we've gone to here. It was very fast, quick, and easy. Now I pressed my tab key to get rid of my tools so we could really examine the image here. And I recommend that you do that. And when you press tab again, your tools will come back. Now, if you're finished with your editing, you can just save this image out with all the layers intact as a Photoshop file or a TIFF file with layers. Either way, it doesn't really matter. You know how to do that, right? And then, or else you can do what I do a lot of times. If I'm happy and I'm satisfied and I'm done, you could just go up to any one of these layers, right click and click on flatten image, and you could save it that way with your image flattened. It saves you on storage space, but hey, you know, hard disk drives are cheap today, and you know, a lot of times you may want to just save them with the layers intact, so you can go back and do some other alterations and things like that. But that's totally up to you, or you can flatten them out. Well, there it is. Hey, I love flower photography, and it is my specialty. I love putting the you know, the colored vignettes around the edges in TOPAZ Studio too. The vignette filter is awesome for that. And I love that mystical filter in Luminar 4. It gives me that nice dreaminess, adds to the bokeh of the image. I love these soft focus images, and this was a lot of fun. It was a quick, easy edit, but I think a very effective edit. Give this a try. You know, I like to shoot with a very shallow depth of field on my cameras, you know, like around 2.8, you know, 3.5, somewhere around there. Very, very shallow depth of field. Find an area of a flower that's of interest, focus on that area, and let everything else just go out of focus. And then come back to editing and, you know, just really make that image come to life. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And if you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe and click that bell notification icon. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you will be notified about it.